There is a financial paradox that silently destroys wealth faster than inflation, faster than taxes, and certainly faster than any bad investment you could make in the stock market. It explains a phenomenon that defies logic: why a corporate lawyer earning $200,000 a year can be just as broke, just as fragile, and just as desperate as a college student living on debt. You have likely felt this force yourself. It starts with a win. You get a massive promotion, you secure a significant raise, you land a high-paying client. You take a deep breath and think, finally, I have breathing room. The struggle is over. But then something strange happens. 6 months later, the money is gone. The bank account is hovering near zero again. The stress is back, heavier than before. You realize you are running on the exact same treadmill, sweating just as hard, only now you are wearing significantly more expensive shoes. This is not bad luck. This is not a lack of discipline. This is a glitch in the human operating system. It is a psychological flaw known as the Diderot Effect. And unless you understand exactly how it rewires your brain, you will remain a high-earning poor person for the rest of your life. To understand why your brain betrays you, we must look back to the 18th century, to the story of the famous French philosopher Denis Diderot. Diderot was brilliant, a co-founder of the encyclopedia, but for most of his life he was incredibly poor. His fortune changed in an instant when the Empress of Russia, Catherine the Great, heard of his financial struggles and offered to buy his library for a massive sum of money. Suddenly, Diderot was rich. He had a windfall. So, Diderot did what almost any of us would do in his position. He decided to treat himself. He took a portion of his new wealth and bought a beautiful, magnificent scarlet robe. It was made of the finest materials, elegant and shining. It was a symbol of his new status. But as Diderot sat in his humble study wearing his new robe, he noticed something irritating. A feeling of unease began to creep in. He looked at his old desk. It was rotten, wobbly, and scratched. It looked cheap. In fact, it looked terrible compared to the elegance of the scarlet robe. The contrast was painful. So to fix this visual disagreement, he bought a new desk, a desk fit for a man who wears a scarlet robe. But the problem didn't stop there. As he sat at his new desk in his new robe, he looked down at his rug. It was tattered. It had holes in it. It didn't match the new aesthetic he was building. So he replaced the rug with a luxury carpet from Damascus. Then the wooden straw chair looked out of place next to the new robe. He replaced it with a leather throne. Then the paintings on the wall looked amateurish. He replaced them with fine art. Step by step, purchase by purchase, the scarlet robe declared war on his old environment. It forced him to upgrade everything until his entire room had been transformed. And in the end, Diderot found himself with a beautiful robe, and absolutely no money left. He was broke again. Diderot later wrote an essay about this experience titled "Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown." In it, he wrote a sentence that perfectly captures the modern consumer trap. "I was the absolute master of my old dressing gown, but I have become a slave to my new one." This is the trap you are living in today. It is the gold-painted bear trap of modern capitalism. You see, we do not buy things in isolation. We buy things to build an identity. Every possession you own, your shoes, your car, your phone, your furniture, is part of a set. It is a cohesive picture of who you think you are. Your brain craves consistency. It demands that the puzzle pieces of your life fit together perfectly. When you introduce a new item that is out of character, something of a higher quality or status than your current baseline, it creates psychological tension. It creates dissonance. The new item insults the old items. It makes them look like garbage. And your brain cannot handle that tension. It demands you resolve it by upgrading the rest of the set. Let's look at a modern example. You buy the new iPhone because you want the best technology, but suddenly your old wired headphones feel archaic. They don't fit the sleek aesthetic. So the iPhone demands you buy the AirPods. But now having the phone and the headphones makes you feel like you should be tracking your health data to complete the ecosystem. So the AirPods demand the Apple Watch. It is a chain reaction. Or take the classic example of the car. You get a raise, so you trade in your reliable sedan for a luxury German car. You park it in your driveway, but as you walk away, you look back and realize your house looks shabby behind such a nice car. The paint is peeling, the garage door is dented, the car insults the house. So you renovate the house. Now you have a beautiful house with a beautiful dining room, but your old furniture looks like it came from a dormitory. So you buy an expensive dining table. But now you can't serve cheap wine at such a nice table. You have to host expensive dinner parties. Marketing departments know this better than you do. They are like snipers waiting for you to make that first entry point purchase. They know that they don't just sell you a product, they sell you a new identity. If they can get you to sign up for the premium gym membership, they know it is only a matter of time before you buy the matching premium workout gear, the supplements, and the personal training. They are harvesting your surplus income by triggering your need for coherence. This is why lifestyle creep is so deadly. It feels like progress. It feels like you are leveling up in the game of life. But mathematically, you are simply raising your baseline cost of existence. When your baseline rises, your freedom falls. Think about the physics of it. If you needed $2,000 a month to survive 5 years ago, you were robust. You could take risks. But if you upgrade your life so that you now need $6,000 just to keep the lights on, you are 3 times more fragile. You have built a golden cage, and you have smiled while handing the key to your employer. You cannot quit. You cannot take a break. You must work to feed the beast you created. So, how do we break the chain? How do we stop the fire extinguisher from spraying our burning wallet only after it's too late? How do we stop the scarlet robe from burning down our financial future? First, you must fundamentally detach your identity from your possessions. This is the core of Stoicism. You must realize that upgrading is a game with no end. It is an infinite staircase designed to exhaust you. There will always be a better car. There will always be a bigger house. If your self-worth is tied to the coherence of your stuff, you will work until you die. Second, you must impose a strict wait rule. When you feel the urge to buy a new item that upgrades your lifestyle, pause. Do not act. Ask yourself a critical question. Is this an isolated purchase, or is this a Trojan horse? Will this purchase demand new accessories? Will it require higher maintenance costs? Will it make my other possessions look worse? If the answer is yes, you are not buying an asset, you are buying a liability chain. You are inviting a parasite into your bank account. Third, practice voluntary discomfort. This sounds counterintuitive, but it is powerful. Occasionally, wear the old clothes, drive the old car, use the phone with the cracked screen, even if you can afford a new one. By doing this, you remind your brain that your value comes from your output, not your inputs. You break the psychological need for everything to match perfectly. You prove to yourself that you are the master of the gown, not the slave. The reality is that the Diderot Effect is a spiral. It sucks you in with the promise of a better, happy life, but it leaves you surrounded with beautiful, empty things, devoid of peace. True wealth is not having a life that looks expensive to others. True wealth is having a life that is free. It is having a gap between what you earn and what you spend, a gap that belongs to you, not to the luxury brands. You have a choice. You can continue to try and match the robe, cutting the fuse on a chain reaction that explodes your wealth. Or you can keep the surplus. You can buy your freedom. You can step off the treadmill. Do not let the invisible psychology of consumption dictate your future. See the traps before you step into them. Stop building a life you have to escape from and start building a life you own. Subscribe to Visual Capital. We don't just talk about money. We decode the hidden psychology behind it so you can see the matrix while everyone else is just looking at the screen.